Hello and welcome to our Maths Admissions Assessment Preparation presentation. So I'll be just going through how to start the admissions process in terms of preparing for your assessment and highlighting what you can do really to be ready for that. Okay, so there's two main exams to go through of relevance. The first one is STEP, so you'll sit that in year 13 by the look of it. And there are 3 papers to choose from, and it does depend on what institution you are applying to, which I'll go through in a second. So the first STEP paper is A-level maths questions only. So there's 11 questions in 2 sections. You choose 6 of those questions. It's a 3-hour exam. So the first 8 questions in section 1 are pure questions, and then in section 2 you've got 3 questions, one of which will be mechanics, one of which will be on probability and statistics, and then the other question could be either of those. So you just choose 6 out of those. You don't have to choose 3 from one and 3 from the other, or whatever. You just choose the questions you want to do. So the second paper is A-level mathematics and AS level further mathematics. So you've got 12 questions in 3 sections. You choose 6 again, and that's another 3-hour paper. So you've got 8 pure questions in section 1, section 2 mechanics questions, and section 3 is 2 probability and statistics questions. And then your third step is A-level maths and A-level further maths. So that's 12 questions in 3 sections. You choose 6, and that's another 3-hour exam. So you've got 8 pure questions in section 1, and mechanics and probability like usual. So the format of this paper hasn't changed for quite a while apparently. Each question is out of 20, and you're assessed on the 6 best answered questions. But you could attempt all of them, let's say, and you go, oh, that question, that's too hard, I'll do something else. So they just mark the 6 best questions that you've done. So they mark all of your work, and then the 6 best scores is what they use. And it's only about applying your mathematical knowledge, and you need to be able to work through substantial sequences of algebraic manipulation. There's just a quote there, and that is a really good website. It is of the Exam Board's website, Cambridge Assessment, who offer that, and it just basically a lot of this information has come from that webpage. So in terms of who sits what step, so if you're applying to Cambridge, then it is usually papers 2 and 3. I think your college will say what papers you have to sit. If you're applying to Warwick, then it is paper 1, and then it can be either of the other papers or both of them. Once again, I think it really depends. If you're applying to Bath, paper 1, and the choice there. In Lancaster, you don't have to sit the exam, but if you do sit one paper of your choice and you pass, then you'll get a reduced offer by 1 grade. So I think it will go down from AAA to AAB. So that is, quite substantial, and actually something that I certainly would consider doing it. It doesn't affect your chance of receiving an offer. I mean, it happens after your offer usually, so it doesn't affect your offer at all. And if you don't pass, it doesn't affect your offer at all. You don't tell them you're sitting it. You just sit it. If you fail, oh well, just put it down to experience. At least you had a go, sort of thing. You don't have to tell them. Only tell them if you pass, and if you pass, then they will amend your offer. Okay, so that's something a bit later down the road. Okay, so that is all about STEP. So that's the first paper. STEP is much more widely sat by the look of it. So yeah, that's the information on STEP. And then the other exam is the test for maths for university admission. Okay, so this is 2 20-question multiple choice question papers, and each paper will last 75 minutes. So you've got paper 1, which is about mathematical thinking, assessing your ability to apply mathematical knowledge in new situations, and paper 2 is mathematical reasoning, so your ability to deal with mathematical reasoning and simple ideas from elementary logic. It's their words, not mine, I will say. You sit it in November, and the results of this will be released at the end of November. It's run by Cambridge Assessment, like the previous one, and you get a grade from 1 to 9 on a scale, and if you get above 4.5, then you will get a lower offer from Lancaster, for example. Now, once again, you don't have to sit this, it's optional. It will be just a AAA offer if you don't sit any of these exams. If you pass this exam, once again, it will be reduced to AAB. But if you pass both STEP and this test, then your offer will be reduced to ABB. Basically, they will knock 1A off for every one of these exams you pass. So that's something to really consider. As it says, you only inform Lancaster if you pass. You don't say you're going to take it, and if you fail, once again, take it as experience. But they will amend your offer. And these are some of the other institutions that accept it as well. So University of Bath, Durham, London School of Economics and Political Science, White, Cardiff University, University of Nottingham School of Mathematical Sciences, University of Sheffield and University of Southampton. It's a non-calculator exam. So I know all of the A-level and AS level exams from the top of my head are all calculator exams, but this one, I mean, the other papers, STEP by the look of it, is calculator, but this exam is definitely non-calculator, and it is stated on that. So that's quite important, because arguably you will need to do a little bit more preparation on this in terms of the last time you had to do mental maths was in year 11 with your GCSE maths, and that was one paper. And this is meant to be, of course, preparing for university. So some of the questions will be university-like. So once again, make sure your non-calculator skills are up to scratch. And here is a link to their website, which is some information on that test. Okay, so now I'm going to go through some advice for those assessments. So as I say, if it's Lancaster you want to go to, then you don't have to sit them. However, I think there's definitely a benefit in considering if you want to sit them because of a reduced offer. Because a reduced offer, of course, puts slightly less pressure on your A-levels. And actually as well, I think it's really important to say, don't just see this as a separate exam. I'd actually see it as a way of building your skills. I see it as a practice as such for your actual A-levels. And I mean, as I say, I'm a history and politics offer holder, so I had to sit the hat for Oxford. But a lot of skills I developed there have been really, really useful with my A-levels. So as I say, it can be quite a positive thing. So the first thing to say in terms of this is they both test your problem-solving skills. So if you find any challenging mathematics problems, it's a good place to start in terms of preparing. That's exactly what they are likely to be. Make sure you know the format. So I mean, I very quickly ran through it there. But you don't want to find any surprises in the exam hall. You want to go in, you want to know exactly what you're looking at and be comfortable with that. You need to make sure you sign up to these exams. Okay, so I couldn't exactly find the information of when you have to have signed up by, but it's really important you do sign up. So make sure you speak to your relevant subject teacher to sort this in advance, and the exams office as well, to make sure you are definitely entered, okay? And I do think that some of them are chargeable. It's about £40, I think. So you need to speak to the school and see what they say about that. If there's a fee, they may pay it, they may not. So that may be up to the individual institution if they decide to pay it or not. So yeah, speak to them if you are considering doing any of them and make sure they're scheduled. One of the obvious things to do is a great revision tool anyway, is doing practice papers. As much practice as possible. I mean, I went on their website and I think off the top of my head, there was a good 10, 12 years worth of practice papers for at least one of those exams. So, I mean, all their past papers are up on the website. Once again, use it to familiarize yourself with the format, familiarize yourself with how they do the questions. And actually as well, as I say, don't see it as mutually exclusive. So doing those papers, they're private study because it should be stuff that's based off of, as it said, the A-level maths or AS, further maths or A-level mathematics, further maths. So once again, it's building all them key skills in preparation for your A-levels as well. So by preparing for one, you're actually helping yourself prepare for all of the exams. Okay, now one really, really crucial thing, and I think is the one thing if you're going to take away from all of that, is they each have their own specification. Okay, so just like an A-level subject or a GCSE subject, it has a specification book, and this is the content you have to know for the exam. These exams have the exact same thing. Now, I haven't looked at them exactly, but chances are they are going to be slightly different for each exam. So I can't tell you exactly what's in them. So that's why in a second, I'm going to put up links to where you can go and find those specifications. As I say, really important you look through that specification, and I would, if I was you, read it word for word and see exactly what you need to know. Because I do know, for instance, that a friend of mine, he was entered for something where he had to do a paper, and some of the content on that paper he either hadn't studied at all, it like wasn't on the specification, so you'd have to go out and learn it, or some of it was stuff he hadn't been taught yet, but was going to be taught after the exam. So it's really important you read the specification, know exactly what's in it. For example, with the STEP, there was one paper there which was A-level maths and A-level further maths. Now, A-level, of course, means all of the year 1 and year 2 content. You won't have done that most probably by the time you sit some of these exams. So you've got to make sure you've learned all of it by then. Okay, so it does put a bit more pressure on you, but at the same time, I would say see the benefits of it as well. As I say, preparing for this exam is preparing for the other exam as well. If you've done all of that content already for that paper and you pass, you know that you're on the right track for your A-levels and achieving a very high grade as well. So yeah, specification is so crucial. Make sure you download it, make sure you read it thoroughly. One of them has a free online textbook it comes with. So if I was you, I'd work through that textbook. It's about 80 pages long. Once again, it is on the link I'm going to put up in a second. But I would, if I was you, just work through that. And I mean, now we're speaking in July, so all the information is correct at the time that I'm speaking. But, you know, you've got plenty of time. I think as it said, November was the test for university, that maths one. So you've got till November to prepare for that. And then if you're choosing to do the STEP, I think that one is like, it's literally just before the A-levels or something like that usually. So actually, we've got a lot of time. You've got a lot of time to prepare for it. You've got the whole summer, and of course you'll take some of that for rest, but actually you can use that to start to get ahead. And as I say, if you're revising for those papers, you're also revising for your A-levels at the same time. So there are benefits to it. Okay, so yeah, as I say, one thing you're going to take away is specification. Make sure you read it, know it. There may be stuff you have to go and learn off your own back to attempt these exams. So yeah, in terms of preparation, these are the 2 links I was on about. They're from the exam board for these papers. So I'll make sure to circulate this with you, or you can type that into the taskbar. And they are the places where all the practice papers are, where all the advice is, the specification is, the textbook is that I was talking about. It's all on those 2 links. They're all official stuff, as I say, from the people who actually run the exams. So it's a great link to have. So yeah, that is actually the presentation really. I mean, you know, as I say, I am a humanities person, but that is the core of the maths thing. Really, what you've got to do is you've got to read that specification, know all your content, and do some past papers. That's really, to be honest, the way to prepare. And there's not much more that anyone, to be honest, can do with you other than, if you get stuck on a question, help you to solve it. Because, you know, it was marked out of 20, one of those questions. Well, that means, of course, your method's really important. So make sure you show your method, and then they'll mark you for how close you get to the final answer, whatever method you use. Okay. So that is the end of the presentation section. I'm afraid I don't 100% know on that. I mean, it says it was accepted by a number of those institutions, but I can't tell you if, when it says accepted, if it means like Lancaster, they're going to drop a grade for you on their page exactly what is expected. And if it's not clear, always just email the university or phone them up and just ask, because that's the best way to, you know, make sure that you're 100% clear. If anything's not clear, you just need to phone them up, you need to ask them or email them or whatever. So I think as well, just one thing I want to say now, which is don't think, oh my gosh, I've got to learn this specification. It's like 100 pages long or whatever it is. Don't start stressing about it now, because I mean, at the moment we're at the start of July. So I mean, you've not even got summer yet. You've mostly got all of your other subject work. And also, as I say, if you're learning maths, then a lot of that stuff is going to be very relevant for university itself and these admissions assessments. That's the thing. Don't see it as a whole burden. It's actually, some of it is just consolidating what you've already done or doing a bit more with it. Yeah, does schools support you? I mean, as I say, individual schools will work differently in terms of, Yeah, I don't know. I mean, when I did my hat there, I was quite lucky that at the time we had a trainee teacher who was there who was able to provide support and provided weekly sessions from the end of September until my hat in October. However, in terms of maths, I don't know. Once again, I'd really recommend let your subject teachers know as early as possible, which is why I've been quite keen on doing this session with you as early as possible so that you can speak to them. Because, as I say, I don't know, because it didn't say on their website, when you have to be entered for these by. So that is something to sort with them. And also, they may be able to support you. They may put on some extra sessions. They may be able to move around the order of some of the stuff they've been teaching to make sure that a lot more of the content you need for these papers you've done in time. They may be able to give you a particular website or textbook or something that allows you to prepare for them. They may even have a friend, I don't know, who could support you much further with it. So I think, as I say, now that you've kind of watched this and you're starting to think about it, I think it's really a good idea now to let your subject teachers know if you've decided. As I say, if it's Lancaster, you've got a choice, so think about that. Think if you are going to be committed to doing it properly. But yeah, speak to them. I think that's really, really important because communication then allows them to help you, and it also helps them because then they can take that into account when planning things.